very warm good morning to all the esteemed members of the industrial fraternity. Thank you very much for coming here. The CII Institute of Logistics extends a warm and proud welcome to each of you at the 19th edition of the Building Warehousing Competitiveness Conference. We are honored to bring this power-packed day by introducing a distinguished thought leader. No guesses, Dr. K. Ganesh, partner and global lead, manufacturing and supply chain of competence, McKinsey & Company. Dr. Ganesh brings over 22 years of rich research and consulting expertise, driving end-to-end logistics and supply chain transformation across diverse sectors such as automotive, consumer goods, and chemicals. His contribution to the field are extraordinary, authoring 200+ research papers and 13 international books. He has been an integral part of CII National Committee in Logistics for the past 3+ years. McKinsey is the knowledge partner for CII Supply Chain Excellence for the last 5+ years. I now call upon Dr. Ganesh to chair the inaugural session, welcome members, and set the theme for the context. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. So it's always a pleasure to be at any CII event. It's always great to kind of collaborate and learn the new technologies, right? So learn the new trends and technologies. So that is for sure. Today, as Smita mentioned, we are actually for the 19th edition. I think I was there for the 17th edition of this one. 19th edition, I think we are going to celebrate 20th next year. I think great, awesome to kind of celebrate 20th next year. 19th edition, the focus today is how do we kind of think through the overall warehouse design, which is like building for the future. I think that's a great setup. We have the day to go to cover some of the great trends and technologies in the warehousing, right? I think it's my great pleasure to invite all the distinguished speakers for the day, for the inaugural function. It's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Rawut Pandurang, who is a Senior Deputy Director General of Shipping, Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, Government of India. Dr. Rawut serves as a Senior Deputy Director General of Shipping, focusing on administration, coordination, MTO vigilance. Very specially, he was an MBBS, MA in economics, very rare to see, and LLB. Almost 20 years of experience across indirect taxation and maritime sector. Dr. Rawut actually is 2006 IRS officer on the customs and indirect taxes. He has held various senior positions, including Assistant Commissioner and Joint Commissioner in Customs, GST, and Directorate General of Central Excise Intelligence. His current role is especially on the maritime training policies, coastal shipping, multimodal transport operations, and also international maritime coordination. We're very glad to have you in this conference. Welcome, sir. Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming along and joining with us. I'm also happy to welcome Mr. Anshul Singhal, who is the Chairman, CII Warehouse National Network, and co-founder and Managing Director of Wellspend One. Mr. Anshul actually has almost 17 years of experience in the infrastructure, real estate, and industry development. He specializes in building new businesses, focusing on the warehousing, project delivery, fund structuring, and also managing the stakeholder relationship. So Mr. Anshul actually almost like built 5 companies from the ground up and held leadership roles at various firms, backed up by Blackstone, Warburg Pincus, and Brookfield. Mr. Anshul, thanks a lot. We're really actually extremely grateful to have you in the inaugural function and looking forward to hear from you as well. Welcome, Anshul. And I'm very, very happy to welcome Mr. Ranjan Sharma, who is a CIO and Head of Supply Chain Bestseller India. Mr. Ranjan actually is a seasoned technology and supply chain professional. He has almost 20 years of experience in the IT and retail operations. He almost led various transformation and supply chain modernization engagements and projects, focusing especially on the warehouse automation, process efficiency, and also the integration of technology, right? His expertise is mainly how do we kind of combine technology leadership with the retail operational expertise. Thanks, Ranjan, for joining us. Really looking forward to hear from you as well. Yeah, so that's our inaugural speakers, and we actually have a 3 session to go. Before we kind of begin the sessions, I also want to introduce about the CII. Everyone actually knows the CII. At least it's my privilege to introduce about the CII Institute of Logistics. Let's give a bit of a background. We all know our India's goal is to kind of becoming a 7 trillion economy by 2030, right? So that's a goal. That is mainly rely on the logistics and supply chain sector. As a significant contributor to the GDP and job creation, the industry holds the immense potential for national growth, right? So to support this vision, how do you kind of move the 7 trillion? The CII Institute of Logistics launched Logistics for AI, CII initiatives, engaging all stakeholders who are critical to realize the vision of positioning India as a global logistics hub. Thanks CII for doing this. And CII Institute of Logistics also serves as a collaborative platform, conducting this kind of conferences, bringing together the policy makers, industry experts, academia, training centers, and also all the aspirants in a room, and how do we kind of equip the professionals in the industry and also take some of the suggestions from the conferences to our Government of India as well, right? That is the role CII playing. Thanks, CII. And this initiative where I think the CII actually bring the numerous opportunity for India, offering aspirational careers that spans many industries and geographies, right? And on top of this is also offer career growth, job satisfaction, leadership opportunities in many ways, right? So that is the background of our CII Institute of Logistics. Thanks CII Institute of Logistics for doing this. And before we move into the session, I also want to kind of give an update on the upcoming conference, which is going to happen in 13th June, Friday, 2025, the same venue. We have a 12th edition of Global Supply Chain Summit. It's going to be like a fabulous conference because it actually brings a lot of experts from all over the world. It is focusing on Global Supply Chain Summit. Don't miss that. We'll be focusing on 3 different areas. One is on the AI and Gen AI, how the supply chain is evolving. Second is how the supply chain is also going to focus from a digital as well, the resilience point of view. And the third is how the sustainability is going to evolve. So that is the Global Supply Chain Summit. We're going to have it in 13 June. Don't miss it. Please take the opportunity, right? So with this, I'll probably move to maybe like a 5 to 6 minutes of quick setting the context for today conference. I know we all know today topic is how do we build the warehousing competitiveness. That is very clear. We're going to have 3 different sessions for the day. Session 1 is very important topic. How do we look at the smart spaces? How do we manage inventory, labor, and smart spaces? That is the focus of the session 1. We're going to hear from 4 different experts with the panel discussion. The second session is going to be how do we strengthen the urban logistics, especially how do we focus on micro-fulfillment. That is the second session. We're going to have a detailed discussion with 4 experts. And the last one is how we can look at the modernizing the warehouses with the human-centered design, right? So I know the automation going to happen, how we can look at the human-centered design, where the automation, where the semi-automation, how we can think through the gamut of archetypes in modernization. So that is the third session. We're going to kind of enjoy those 3 sessions today. All the very best to the conference and looking forward for great interaction in the other 3 sessions. I'll probably take a 5 minutes to kind of set the context for the day, and after that I leave the dais to the speakers. Yeah, can you please project? Yeah. My intention is to kind of set the context, how this is happening in the overall global level, how the warehousing competitiveness is very important, how this is evolving. That's my intention. I think if you step back, today if you look at the overall potential in automation, it is there in everywhere, in a discrete industry, process industry, even in other e-commerce and everywhere. But if you look at from the automation potential, almost like 60% automation potential in warehousing. I think that is very clear. And what is evident, if you see there are multiple companies already publishing this information in the public website, how they are automating and how they are changing the game in warehousing. Imagine Puma with the Bastion solutions. They have a auto store, good to person systems to kind of improve the the complete space. Almost like a 10x more capacity with a similar footprint. Footprint is the same, but the complete automation happens, which is being the 10x more capacity. That is the evidence of automation, right? And the middle one is Kroger, was a retail company who actually looked at from a on-grid robotic pickup solutions where you see the picking of items 500 in an hour. I think that's a huge number in retail. I think that's where the automation is evolving today, right? And Uniqlo with the Daifuku, what they've actually done a complete robotic system to reduce the manual elements, right? That's where I think the automation is evolving a lot in warehousing. That is very clear, right? And additionally, what you see is warehouse automation actually is going to be a fabulous value creation engine for every industry. If you look at almost like more than $350 billion spent on the warehousing worldwide, right? And out of which almost like 220 billion focused only on automation. I think that's a big number to kind of think through. So it touches the largest portion of economy. That is very clear. And second is it's also essential to support the e-commerce growth. If you see like almost $80 billion e-commerce sales in US alone, and warehousing plays a vital role in this e-commerce sector as well, right? And third element, which is like very critical, where how we can tackle the labor shortage across the world. I know India is not that complications today, but I think in a global level, yes, 82% of the companies are finding it challenge to have the right talent in warehouse, right? And that's where 50% of the executives are willing to do automation, right? Because of the shortage and the talent, and retaining talent is the biggest complication, right? So I think there is a boom in terms of value creation, that is for sure. And the next slide will gives you the big picture. I know it's a very tough slide to look through, but what you have to look through is only the shaded portion. If you see the global automation market across discrete, process, hybrid, et cetera, right? It's almost, the total addressable market is like 570 billion in 2023, out of which 50 billion in warehouse, right? I think it's an almost like 9 to 10% actually is in the warehouse itself. I think that is a great number to kind of address. That is where I think we need to focus our efforts, that is for sure. And if you see the next slide, that gives you the 50 billion, what I'm saying, right? Where it come along. It comes along from the hardware, from the software, from the sensors, from the services. So ultimately, we'll have opportunity across the sectors, areas in the warehousing setup, right? So that is a clear message I want to kind of position here, right? And if you see how the overall warehouse automation is going to be positioned, right? I mean, if you see the next slide, I think it's a very informative slide. I'll probably give a clear indication of warehousing. What this slide indicates, what are the different areas of growth which is happening from automation point of view, right? What do you see? You see like the left-hand side is more of software, services, projects, and products. Across if you see the right-hand side, building and infrastructure, warehousing and logistics, energy, process industries, and discrete, right? And you see the complete green is in the middle one, which is warehousing logistics. And that's where automation growth, if you see, in some other sectors, you see the red spots, but in the warehousing and logistics is very clear. There is almost above 2x average, right? This is where it's going to happen in the next 5 years. Above 2x average is happening in the logistics and warehousing element of automation. That is very, very clear. That's where you see a complete green element when you compare with the building infrastructure and other dimensions is very, very clear. And the question is, what is the margin, right? The margin is also reasonable good, right? Very attractive margin, almost 18-20% margin. What do you see in the left-hand side, the orange bubble or it's almost like how do we operate in an effective way? So that's where I think margin-wise is great. I know there are a few other areas having a higher margin, which is your security and access controls and facility management system. But obviously, the growth is with a very good attractive margin. And the question is, what is the technology evolving? There are many, right? The conveyor, sortation, storage systems, and so on and so forth. But the AGV and AMR is going to be like a key driver for market growth. If you see the graph, you see a dark blue in the middle, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 11. So that is the growth, which is almost 31% growth from AGV and AMR. That is actually going to be a fabulous growth. And globally, imagine the slide what you're going to see next. It was like almost a decade back, it was like 20 plus company. Now it is almost like 100 plus companies, right? The market is actually exploding with the solution providers like 100 plus, focusing your smart mechanization, AGV, autonomy solutions. That is very evident. This is very evident, right? And moreover, a lot of conglomerate and the PE funds are also acquiring the portfolios. I'll give an example, right? This is a very clear example where many companies, that expand the share and also reach into the global growth automation space. That is very clear. At least Kian acquires Dematic, Teradyne acquires MIR. So if you see globally, Shopify acquires River Systems. If you see, a lot of acquisitions is happening, and the landscape is very competitive, right? If you see the major player globally, that is a very good information what you see in the next slide. The global player, if you see only top 5, top 5 players like cover 28%. The market share split of warehouse automation market, if you see, top 5 covers 28%, right? I think, and that's where the landscape is competitive, a bit of fragmented today, with top 5 player actually kind of driving 30% market. So definitely there is a good opportunity for growth, right? So the last 2 minutes, from an Asia point of view, I'm not going to cover India point of view, what is happening in this overall warehousing competitiveness from a good to great? If you see, there are few areas evolving in Asia. This is very Asia-specific cases evolving. The item picking robots is evolving in Asia. Many companies are getting into this. Inventory accuracy, which is especially how do we track using drones, how do you do a vision picking, how do you do a complete smart bin-based replenishment, right? And also, how do you look at from an ultra-wide band motion tracking within the spaces, and how do you think from an autonomy delivery of goods? And lastly, exoskeleton. These are some of the areas which is evolving well in Asia. I'll share this document to you. Many companies, Fanuc, Yashkaba, they are actually into the picking robots. Linfox, Dole, they are into inventory drones within Asia. China and Japan is leading this show. Samsung and Coca-Cola are into the vision picking through augmented reality. That is actually very evident within the Asia itself, right? Smart bin actually done by many companies like Godrej and so on. So for the ultra-wide band, this is actually Apple and Samsung has done it within Asia itself, right? So, and even the AGV, which is evolving a lot in advanced industry, which is Toyota and few other automotive industry also evolving, right? So, automation is very clear. I want to end my discussion with the 5 different themes on top of automation, what is important for us to focus. How do we do the frontline productivity, right? How do you think through this? Our first session addresses the labor productivity, labor shortages, how do you address? That is one. How do you do an operating model design? In overall warehousing setup, how the operating model design, how do you optimize the overall cost? How do you do a bottom-up costing and optimize the overall cost? That is also very important for us to focus. And how do we kind of create a digital twin so that you kind of create a digital twin of a warehouse, you can actually change with respect to your growth. That is also very critical in your growth of warehousing. And how do you think through from a services automation, which is also very, very critical in terms of fill rate improvement within the warehouse setup. And the last one is how do we build talent? How do we retain talent? How do you handle retention? I think these are the 5 things on top of automation will unlock opportunity in warehousing. Looking forward for a great discussion today. With this, I'll probably sign off. I probably request in our sequence, I request Mr. Ranjan Sharma to kind of share his thoughts on the topic of future-proof warehousing. How do you kind of integrate scalable technology architecture for tomorrow's demands? Mr. Ranjan, would like to have you on the dais. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ganesh. I think it was an impeccable discussion around where we are moving and how we are changing. And good morning to everyone, the esteemed colleagues, the industry pioneers, and the fellow visionaries. I think after this topic that we covered so far, I think that gave me an immense opportunity to be able to establish that the way how we are moving forward, we can't live without integrating technology into the base of how we are constructing warehouses. So I think what's important is how do you leverage technology to be able to make your distribution centers more smarter? And that discussion and that thought process cannot start once you've constructed the distribution center or the warehouse. It has to start pretty early in the design phase itself. When you start designing, how do you think about placing the sensors? How do you think about placing the right conveyors? How do you think about placing the right automation modules? Maybe you don't invest into them today. But how do you think about it when you start building your warehouses and your distribution centers and future-proof it so that whenever you need them, you are able to bring that into your warehouses, into the distribution centers? So I'm looking at more from a designing with intelligence embedded. How do you look at while designing the distribution center? It's not about the brick and mortar. It's not about the PEB structures, but also about how do you have start with the mindset of like we call about e-commerce companies. We call them technology-first companies, right? How do we start making supply chain also kind of a technology first? Because if you don't think about technology today, it becomes difficult to retrofit it. Retrofitting is very, very expensive. It's a huge cost at a later date. Which means that what we need to do is in terms of how do we plan the networks, the sensors, how do we plan the elements of next generation warehousing facilities, automations, how do we bring them all together while designing the phase itself? During the design stage itself, how do we think about where to place what? Where do you want to grow? Where do you want to grow your spaces in terms of the storage spaces? Where do you need to bring in automation? When do you need to bring in automation so that you start pre-planning? When you start planning your WMS systems, your warehouse management systems, your transport management systems, your WCS, you need to start thinking ahead of time. You can't, because these are long lead time items. These don't happen overnight. There are multiple players who are available there. You need to also think about who are the right players. Maybe the best guy does not fit into your requirement. You need to start thinking around that part of it. How do you then start looking at the layout in terms of where and how do you start placing things at a later date? Maybe today, tomorrow, and start planning for it tomorrow. I'll give you a classic example. We constructed a distribution center at Bhiwandi, about 2.5 lakh square feet. We started that construction in about 2018. From day one itself, we knew it was going to be an overkill for us, but we started thinking of when and how we would bring in the sorters, different kind of sorters, the conveyors, where would we place the sensors. We left those spaces open. When we wanted to start bringing in those pieces in 2022, we were live in 2020. When we wanted to bring them in 2022, it was far more easier. Because the whole system, the whole architecture was designed in a way where placing them, bringing them in became much more easier. What is also important to design from the day one is defining the right flow in terms of how does the merchandise flow happens, how does the whole process works so that you're not adding more disruptions into the distribution center, you're not adding more disruptions in the warehouse, and you are able to have the flow seamless so that you don't break the processes in between. The other big piece is, I think CII is doing a lot of work around AI, and I think where AI is moving towards, very, very important aspect from a supply chain perspective. We were talking of AI 2 to 3 years back. Then 2 years back, we started talking of generative AI. Today, we talk about agentic AI. What is this doing to us? We are going to start placing a lot of agents all around us. We will start finding agents all across. What are these agents going to do? These are only going to simplify the whole processes. Today morning, I was reading somewhere, somebody has shown a success story on agentic AI, In about a month's time, they have had about 2.8 million hits on one of their agentic AI services that they initiated. That gives us, and that is uninterrupted, unattended. That's the power of what agentic AI can bring in. That's the power of how you can bring in more transparency, visibility, and improve the workforce efficiency, bring in productivity, bring in speed, because today what we are talking of at all points of time is about speed. 10 minutes delivery, 20 minutes delivery is becoming a norm. How do you deliver in 10 minutes, 20 minutes if you don't bring in these processes, if you don't start thinking about looking at your data models, looking at what data you have, bringing in external data together to be able to make an assessment to say, what is it that you need tomorrow, a year down the line, 2 years down the line, and you start preparing for it today, because your systems and your processes, building them will take time. How do you start working on them to start bringing in more insights into how do you need to leverage that data, and this data might not just be internal. The data can be external as well. You have different sources of getting this data to bring them together to be able to make sense out of it. The other big piece is about future-proofing through flexible and scalable idea architecture. They have to be, whatever investments we make in technology, let's approach technology with a very, very open mind. Technology is going to become obsolete very, very fast. So what we need to be also very, very sure is about looking at what the ROI looks like, what is the payback period looks like, how do you future-proof it in terms of saying, is that scalable enough to be able to adopt or adapt to the new changes in the technology which is going to happen? Don't become rigid. The architecture that you design with, don't make it rigid. It has to be flexible enough to be able to integrate and work with different ecosystem partners. None of the systems today are designed to work in isolation. If they don't work in the entire ecosystem, taking care of the whole gamut of things, they will never be able to deliver the whole purpose, because you don't even know what's coming in. 2 years down the line, we don't even know what's coming in, how the world is going to change. 5 years back, we didn't even know 10 minutes delivery is going to become a norm. That is becoming a norm. I was the biggest critic of saying, why would somebody need fashion in 10 minutes, 20 minutes? Today, we have a brand placed on Zepto, and we are delivering in 30 minutes. I think the world changes. Whatever we think today might not be relevant. It's all going to change. So let's be open, let's be flexible to the idea of saying, what do you need to do to be able to bring in and adapt and adopt? It's very, very important. One of the large pieces that we all need to keep in mind is have the right API structures to be able to scale. Because the integration, if you don't have the right API structures, the right API frameworks, if you're not using them, it becomes difficult to integrate with different systems. And today, imagine we are not integrating just with softwares, we are integrating with softwares, hardwares, sensors, different kinds of sensors, different makes of sensors, because what sensors you would be using today might become obsolete a few years down the line, and you might have to bring in something else. The technology would have changed in 3 to 4 years, 5 years' time. So you need to be good enough to be able to have the right API structures to be able to integrate with them. With all of this, moving so faster in terms of digital, one of the other aspects which is also coming and haunting us big time is, how do you take care of security? Because you're placing all your data points, everything right there in the open, and there is so much more accessibility to everybody. How do you take care of security? The kind of security risks that we are increasing, with the kind of devices that we are bringing in, imagine 5 years back, 10 years back, we only used to have a laptops, everything within our own facility, all connected to a local area network. Wide area network was very, very rare in those days, about 10, 15 years back. Today, everything is available on cloud. It's so much easy for anybody and everybody to be able to hook onto your data, connect to your data, and how do you ensure that you have the right access metrics, you have the right control mechanisms, and you're continuously monitoring it and evolving it, because the risks are changing every day. It's not that something that you would have done today is going to suffice for the whole of life. It is changing every day. The nature of the risk is changing. How do you think about the cybersecurity threats that are coming in? Start planning for those as well, because it's good to be ambitious on one side, and I go to a developer, myself being a technology guy, I will say, hey, this is so easy to be able to develop. But at the end of the day, you need to be able to show how do you ensure that you're not risking your entire landscape? Because the moment you give one opening to a hacker or anybody, they can actually ruin your entire setup. And you could be held to ransom for it. So be sure of what you're building. Take more time in terms of testing it, doing your penetration tests, doing your security tests, assessments around that, and then going live before placing it on cloud, because cloud is becoming the knob. On one side, we are trying to speed by going to cloud in terms of availability. On the other side, we need to be far more sure in terms of what we are deploying there and how we are deploying there. The other aspect that I think is important to work is, while doing all of this, how do you improve the life of your employees, your people? You need to create solutions. You need to bring in technologies which are far more intuitive. You can't end up training people. It's going to become humongously difficult and expensive value proposition. So your solutions, whatever you make, they have to be very, very intuitive for your people, whoever are coming on board, to quickly be able to assess it. How many of us use Facebook, Instagram? Were we taught how to use it? We never. We all learned ourselves, right? That's the way how your solutions have to be built. Nobody taught us how to use a WhatsApp. That's the way how all our solutions needs to be built, in terms of saying, how can people do it by themselves? How can people learn by themselves? And keep researching, keep playing around with the solutions, and finding out ways to be able to use it and use it better. I think with that, I would like to end my whatever I had to share. I obviously will come back into the next panel and have more discussions, more deeper discussions. But I think keeping the time in mind, I think this is where I would want to end. But leave with a thought in terms of saying, technology is one of the biggest enabler, and it's your companion today. Don't run away from AI. Don't run away from technology. This is something which you are going to have as one of your biggest tools to be able to fight the wars or the battle that is coming forward. So with that, I end my whatever I had to speak about. Thank you so much, and have a great day. Look forward to talking to you more.
Thanks, Ranjan. I think fabulous thoughts. I think to just summarize, at least I learned 4 things. One is speed. Speed is the key. You clearly said, we never expected 10-minute delivery. Yes, how do we kind of go to a market with the speed? That is very important. Second is the AI, which is agentic AI evolving today. I think it's very important. It's also evolving in warehousing today. How we can actually make autonomous planning was there before. How do we kind of move from autonomous planning to agentic AI-based planning? That is very critical. And the third element is, yes, when we move technology, security is important. How we think through from a cyber security. Well said. The last important element is also how we think through in terms of the people part, which is also very critical. I think thanks for sharing your thoughts. Really appreciate. Thanks, Ranjan. And now I probably invite Mr. Anshul. So he actually going to talk about how we can actually look at from a storage to strategy. What is a new role in the warehousing? Looking forward to have Anshul to get his thoughts. Welcome, Anshul.
Hi, everyone. I had this whole speech prepared, which was all very simple and talking about storage. But after hearing these 2 amazing speakers, I decided to scratch that speech and give you a different view, which is more from the heart. So I've been doing warehousing and storage for the last 20 years now. And what's changed in the last 20 years is a lot. Sorry, in the last 10 years, it feels like 20 years, and has changed a lot. So basically, if you remember warehousing from old Hindi movies, it was always the place where crime happened, where a heroine got kidnapped, or where some last climax scene of the movie was happening in a dingy warehouse, where everything bad that had to happen, dimly lit, badly placed, difficult to find, no access roads, etc., etc. And the biggest problem when in 2014 I started to trying selling grade A facilities to customers was convincing them that grade A facilities of warehousing are actually very different from what your perception of warehousing is. And to my luck, there were other companies who were trying to do that as well. But long story short, if you fast forward time to 2016-17, there were a few good examples in the country of safe for people, compliant in terms of policy and governance, and quality infrastructure, where warehousing did not just become a safe, clean place to work, it also became a safe, clean place to work for women. So from going to a place where crime and bad things happened to becoming a place, it happened very quickly. And why did this happen? It happened because consumer behavior in India started changing. Because when e-commerce started coming in, people started realizing, actually I don't need to go to the store and get my goods and spend 4 hours in traffic and get things delivered. So companies like Amazon, Flipkart, etc., started coming in and started promising online payments. Now, when a customer like you and me starts getting used to getting packages at home, and hey, guess what? You can return them if you don't like them, right? That's phenomenal. So I'm just going to order 6 things, pick up 2 things that I like, and return 4 of them back. So this started becoming habit forming. Initially, there was a problem where in India, people did not want to put their credit cards online. That was a big problem. What if our money gets stolen and, we have to have this whole scam thing? I think scams right now on phones have gone to a different level, but credit cards is least of the problem. And then something fantastic happened. We got GST into the country. Now, what did GST do in warehousing and supply chain and logistics? You had to have a warehouse in every city to transfer goods from one city to the other city, third city to the fourth city, and papers kept getting transferred and highway tolls kept getting managed, if you know what I mean, right? And with this management, it was just so cumbersome from factory A to factory C. Now, why is this important? It's because in factory A had to have a small, shady, crime-attractive warehouse in city A, which they actually never used, but they had to show that as an address because they had to show addresses across each part of the country, otherwise goods could not move freely, you were breaking the law, and so on and so forth. Now, with GST coming in, we became one country, one tax. So GST is still today the most significant transformation that has happened in Indian warehousing, and it will continue to remain for a while. With GST, what happens is customers, factory owners, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's 3PL, whether it's consumer goods, whether it's electronics, they started consolidating spaces into one facility. Now you want to spend on that facility. Now you want to invest in that facility. Now you want to be very selective on the location of that facility. Companies started creating something called as network planning, which McKinsey is very used to doing, right? So all the networks started getting planned from first mile to last mile to hub and spoke models to mixed models and name it, so on and so forth. Once this started coming in, quickly private equity funds from around the world started catching this trend. And at the time I was running a company with Warburg Pincus, and we started also realizing that warehousing, no matter what happens, is going to remain one of the most resilient businesses in the country. Because warehousing is the backbone of the country. And this got proven in a very unfortunate time called COVID-19, when in 2019, COVID struck, everything came to a standstill except warehousing. Warehousing continued to operate, and it got named as an essential sector. Why? Because people started realizing that everything comes from a warehouse. Everything you see in this room today, each piece of item on your body, to this water bottle, to this stage, to this tables, including the carpets, lights, everything at some point has passed through a warehouse. It's not possible to do that. Now, when you start going deeper into this, you start realizing that a $4, $5, $10 billion investment in warehousing for a country like India, which is heading towards a $1 trillion economy, where warehousing and logistics costs are coming down from 14% to 8% as a GDP, part of GDP. 5, 10 billion is not enough, right? A company like US today has more than 650 million square feet of warehousing. India, in the last few years, when we started 10 years ago, it was 13, 14 million. Last year, the official number, which all the IPCs published, was about 50 million square feet of warehousing, give or take. I'm giving approximate numbers, was given. You know, in 2018, right before COVID, we nearly touched office in terms of supply. However, we as a company right now, by the way, are delivering close to 19 million square feet of warehousing. However, globally, the number of warehousing in terms of percentage is about 5 to 10 times of that of any other form of real estate, including office. It is also the most understated sector in worldwide, because this is the backbone. It's non-glamorous, you know, back of the table, you know, you're a hotel guy or a hospitality guy or a very smart IT guy or McKinsey or XYZ, but the warehousing developer is the guy who's like, "Arey boss, tum to warehousing banate ho, right? Tum thoda piche baitho." So that started happening, and then we started creating new solutions, and I'm going to show you something, hopefully on the screen, if it starts playing. So this was the past. What's the future? You know, as our friend Ranjan rightly asked a lot of how do you questions, and excellent questions. You know, if you can pause that there, please. You know, we're coming up with this particular facility. Can anybody guess what this is? That's a warehouse, friends. This is a facility that is currently being constructed. All approvals in place. This is a 1,000 square feet project. It's called World Trade Center Thane. And why World Trade Center? Trade does not happen anymore in offices. Trade happens in warehouses. Trade happens in multi-user facilities like these. This is the first of its kind in the world facility that we're putting up. And the bottom 4 stories are warehousing with complete ramps at the back. Please continue playing it. And the top 6 floors are office, grade A office. It's a LEED platinum rated building. If you look at the front facade of the building, we're getting lots of retail brands in there. Now, what's the advantages of combining retail and warehousing? Very obvious, but just imagine you have to start shipping goods in an omni-channel framework. How are you going to do any of these big technological developments or AI or automation without high quality infrastructure? You need the infrastructure in place. You need the spaces in place. The spaces is very important, right? And that's what we're developing. So the front facade of the building was very, very nice, fancy, you know, top of the line, retail, etc. But when you go to the back of the building, the whole world changes. And you have a complete warehousing operation ready. This is not some fantasy project which is happening 10 years down the line. This project will be live and running in the next 12 months. If you see the backside of the building, it's got ramps that takes all the trucks up, you know, your 2-wheelers, 4-wheelers, 6-wheelers, and 8-wheelers can go all the way up. Your throughput in this building is phenomenal. The building has about 26 elevators. It's got 3 cores. It's got an office and a warehousing all in one. And that's exactly how it's going to look once it's completed. This is a live render, of course, but so, you know, why am I talking about this building? I'm not trying to market my project. It's fairly pre-leased, but I'm trying to show you the future, right? This is the future. So when you talk about the future and you say, you know, we're going to put all this technology, AI systems and processes and sustainable design and solution design, we have to lead by example. We can't just keep talking about these in fancy conferences and not deliver any of these. Well, we're delivering it. We're doing it. We put 1,000 crores behind that dream. And that dream is now coming true. The beauty about this building is that everything in the building has been designed to the core, which means there is separate entrances for bikers, for quick commerce. Now imagine, and this is, by the way, in the middle of Thane. This is city center, 3.5 acres land. This is land we bought 50 crores an acre for. Most warehousing companies buy land not more than 2 crores an acre for, right? Because it's back and the beyond. We reversed the problem and got it right in the front. We said, no, we're going to be building warehouses inside the city. Why can't they be right next door? if customer, which in 2014, 16, when I spoke about Amazon, started expecting goods in 2 days, 3 days. I remember next day delivery was a big thing. You know, people started saying next day, next day, next day. Now it's 10 minutes. And I'm completely with Ranjan here. I was the biggest critique of, and I was smiling when he was saying that, ki boss, 10 minute में किसको क्या चाहिए? मतलब, what is the urgency कि आपको 10 minute में सामान चाहिए? ऐसा क्या हो गया है? थोड़ा wait करो आराम से. Instant gratification, going to the next level, right? So, but it's here, it's true, and we need to adapt. We need to catch up. So we started building facilities like this. We are now thinking of actually taking about 100 to 150 stores on rent and converting them into small cloud-based delivery centers and re-renting them back, right? So we can launch a network of stores within a city like Mumbai and go to an Amazon and go to a delivery and say, hey, here it is, 50 stores on one day. Can you manage it? And we will brand them and make them all common and make them all like standardized so that when they come in, they don't have to worry about anything except starting their business from tomorrow morning. And then, of course, you have to, you know, once you give the space, once you give the infrastructure, you can then put technology in it. You can then put automation in it. It doesn't stop here. I have one more thing to show you, which talks about trade as well. If we can play the next video, please. So, you know, when we started thinking about what else can we do, which is different, we met the shipping and, you know, the trade offices in India, and we said, we want to really, really invest in trade. How do we make something in Mumbai with the Atal Setu coming in, with the Navi Mumbai airport coming in? How do we make something big which showcases to the world where we can lead by example? And as chairman of CII Logistics and Warehousing, I wanted to show this to the world, saying that let's put our money where our mouth is, right? So we went and took a long lease of 55 acres of land inside JNPT, or it's now called JNPA port. JNPA port is India's largest containerized port. I don't think it requires any introduction. But the port itself, is very strategically located. It's now actually becoming a city port, right? And it's had its share of problems, but I think those are now over and those days are behind us. I'm a big believer of the location. What this does is it positions you and gives you the ability to bring in goods from outside the country, because it's a special economic zone. Bring in goods from outside the country, store it temporarily in India, and not pay duties till you start selling one item at a time. So there's lots of advantages. Now, my personal view is with all the tariff wars that are going on, this location is only going to get more and more strategic as time moves on. But let Donald Trump decide that and not me. So that's the building. I'm just waiting for it to come to the right space so I can talk about it. But it's 2 acres of, it's 2 parcels of land. The first one on the left is 10 acres with an office factory. And now what you see on the screen now is very important. It's a ground plus 2 structure. This project is about 3,000 crores. It's actively under construction. Financial closure done. Project delivery timeline 36 months from now. The 10-acre plot on the side, if you can pause this video, please. The 10 acres plot on the side has already started construction. So the flatted structure, the 10 acres is the guy on the left. The flatted structure is fully leased. And on the left is the industrial building. On the right is that fancy office building that you see. The 45-acre on the right is a complete ramped-up facility. What we have done is we have taken a warehouse, 14 meters high, 6-ton floor load, put another warehouse on top of that, 14 meters high, 6-ton floor load, and now put another warehouse on top of that, 14 meters high, 6-ton floor loads. I see some of you guys making faces because you're understanding what I'm talking about, so that I think the smarter part of the audience is in this side of the room, probably engineers. But yeah, it's 6-ton, 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 14 meters at eaves high, fully ramped facilities. Please continue the video. Fully ramped facilities where trucks can go in and out, and these are unidirectional ramps, right? We traveled all over the world to Japan, Singapore, Hong Kong, saw these facilities. We said, why can't this work in India? People said, India, people will not pay rent. I said, but have you even tried putting up a facility and trying it? Like, who's going to make a 3,000 crore investment and try putting this up? And we started it, and by the way, the facility is 1 million square feet pre-leased. And we are demanding 75 rupees to 80 rupees per square foot rental as a starting rental in this facility. The Thane facility you saw, we are getting 140 to 150 rupees a square foot on carpet. This is more than what office is demanding in the area. Why? Because there is enough office supply. But where are the grade A facilities for warehousing? So the reason I'm sharing all this, and of course, you can have all your automation, all your bots, because these are, FM2 floors, bordering line super flat floors, right? In terms of, flatness and able to put robotics and all of that. So we're really thinking about the future. By the way, this facility is also going to be called World Trade Center Nhava Sheva. We've got the official approval just 3 days ago. My team specifically asked me not to mention that, but I think it's required to mention that in this crowd. And it's top of the line, so when you enter it, it's got the offices, it's got the business centers, it's got the factories, it's got all of that in one single 55-acre, 4.3 million square feet hub, right? So these are the two large, innovative, sustainable, technology-intensive projects that we are coming up. And I don't think we'll be we are the first, but I don't think we'll be the last. I really do hope other companies in India, become brave enough to building facilities like these, because without these kind of futuristic facilities, these conferences and discussions will just remain discussions. You have to create infrastructure spaces to be able to have sustainable design, to be able to make the warehousing of the future, to be able to make it safe for women to work, to be able to make it like an office space. By the way, our first building in World Trade Center Thane is temperature controlled entirely. So even the warehousing spaces can operate at 24 to 23 degrees temperature. So it doesn't have to be a hot, sweaty place where labor turnover is very, very high. I mean, the labor attrition in warehousing today is 40 to 60%. It's seasonal workforce plus. But if you can give them nice places to work, I mean, how many of you, all of us at some point in our careers have gone to a crappy office to work in and then ended up in a nice office at some point. And, some of us who've had the, I've been an employee all my life, turned into an entrepreneur recently 5 years ago. But, you like working in a nice office space. It's good when the toilets are clean, when the building is a good place to enter. And you want to stay sometimes, you just want to stay for the office. You may not only like the job, but you're like, I actually love the office, so maybe I'll stick around 6 months longer. It's the same thing for the guy on the shop floor. If he likes his facility, if it's hygienic, if it's clean, if it's well lit, if it's well ventilated, if it's safe, so pilferage is reduced. Security, as you mentioned, sir, is extremely important in warehousing. Pilferage is one of the biggest issues. These facilities are not just CCTV controlled, they are AI CCTV controlled, right? So that's what we're putting up, guys. Just a glimpse and a thought for the future. I think I'm really thankful to be and honored to be a chairperson for CII for logistics and warehousing. I think the CII team is doing a phenomenal job, and they're putting in so much effort. Ma'am, thank you so much for all your hard work. It's really appreciative. Anything we can do to support the sector, we're always there. But I would really request all of you to start thinking outside the box, literally, right? Because the box is no longer reality. And see you guys around. I'm here for some time. If anybody has any questions, happy to answer them offline. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Anshul. I think only one word, impressive. Impressive, I think. I was actually reading the title, which is Storage to Strategy. I think it's future strategy is awesome. It's a new role, Anshul. I think thanks for the fabulous, I would actually say, this is actually for the India, this is actually for the growth, right, of the nation. Great, Anshul. This is great. I mean, another part, what you touched upon is women. A decade back, it was like 5 to 7%, right? Now it is 20% works. That's where the workforce in 2024 is 20%. That's a great number. I think you also mentioned about that portion. I think this kind of facility will definitely take 20 to 40 and 50, right? I think Yeah. Right. So, yeah. So, yes, McKinsey is like trying to move from a 38 to 50. That's where the goal, the 50-50. I think, yes, I think the future is not so far, is very near for that. Thanks, Anshul. Thanks for sharing the thoughts. And 30-second level, as you mentioned, right? Everything is come from warehouse. Yes. Today, many industries are actually moving away from a old school of thought to a speed. Now, how do we make it scalable? How do you make it faster, right? I never seen an auto OEM, hey, I want to kind of create a 10 stockyard in the pan-India to make the reach to the customer. I think so, decade back, auto OEM, direct delivery, we just take it to distributor. No, now I want to create a stockyard. I mean, I want a 10 stockyard within the country, and then I want to make it available, because volatility of demand is huge, and that's why things happening today. Thanks for sharing, Anshul. Now I may request Dr. Rawut to kind of share his thoughts to deliver his inaugural address as well. Welcome, sir. Yeah.
Respected Dr. K. Ganesh, who is a member CII National Committee on Logistics Partner McKinsey and Company. Mr. Ranjan Sharmaji, who is the Chief Information Officer and Head of Supply Chain Bestseller. We are querying about what is bestseller. So now all of us are knowing what is bestseller now. Mr. Anshul Singalji, who is the Chairman, CII Warehouse National Network and co-founder and Managing Director, Wellspun One. Madam Dr. K. Bhanumati, CEO, CII. All the respected dignitaries from the warehousing, shipping, manufacturing, and all the related sectors, ladies and gentlemen. After going through these speeches by all the three eminent speakers, they are not speakers only, but they are actually working on the ground and bringing the gap or bringing the things closer with the imagination or aspiration, needs, and the supply side aspects. If we go back to ancient period, like 3000 BC, the warehousing is like a common business. It has developed along with the civilization. In Mesopotamia, Egypt, in the civilization, they were having so many warehouses, fortified walls, structured storages, but that time the pace of the progress was very limited. The things were remain like that only till the Industrial Revolution. And those warehouses shifted closest to the ports or the consuming center. In 20th century, some sort of mechanization has been brought to this field, like forklift or belt, that is automated belt movement. Then in 21st century, the things have changed like anything. The space of the development has changed. I was just going through 12 years back of my service when I joined as a Deputy Director General of Central Excise Intelligence. As a part of my job, I used to do searches, like in common parlance it's called raid, and we used to go to many warehouses. And as Mr. Anshulji has mentioned, those warehouses were not happy place, you can say. Most of the times, we have to buy our food and just place them on the front of the vehicle and eat. So, and that was like a very dangerous places to enter. Even we were requiring so much amount of manpower to do the searches. But the newly developed and the planned developed systems that you have shown, there may not be possibility to do the searches. And if required so, then with very minimum manpower, it will be done. But considering all these things, I will just touch upon the aspect where government, particularly Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, Ministry of Finance, but basically Customs and Commerce and Industry, are helping. I can just say helping because you people are moving far ahead. And as a government, we have to also keep pace with you to provide all the supporting logistics, supporting policy issues. So as I was mentioning that we have already have a vision of develop India by 2047, where we will find the GDP of India to touch 32 trillion US dollars. The common person, like the per capita income, will touch 18,000 to 20,000 US dollars and will remain as the fastest growing large economy in the world. So this is a vision. And as we see, the ranking of India has been showing continuous improvement in various aspects related to the logistic, related to the World Performance Index, related to the gender issues. The Sustainable Development Goal Report 2024 has given India the ranking as 109 among the 193 nations in the world. India ranks 39 in the Global Innovative Index. This is a great improvement from 81st in 2015 to 39 in 2024. It's a huge jump in last 10 years amongst the 133 nations. The competitive ranking has also improved to 39th position. If we see where our ports are lying, if we consider top 40 ports in the world, we are having 2 of our ports figuring there. One is Visakhapatnam and Mundra. The train manpower, we are second in the world, and global ship recycling, we are third in the world. After launching of Hong Kong Convention, as we are having more than 120 plus ship recycling yards, approved yards, we will be achieving the first rank in the coming future. The Climate Change Performance Index, we are 10th in the world. The QS World Future Skill Index, we are 25th, and World Logistic Performance Index of 2024, we are 38th. So these are some indications showing that where we are moving. Mr. Anshulji has told that whatever you are using on your body, in your office, in your room, or in your daily routine life, everything is coming from the warehouses. And shipping is also a connected field. 95% of the India's trade by volume and 68% by the value is being moved through the maritime sector. And maritime sector consists of port, shipping, and waterways. So the port ecosystem is one of the most evolving and one of the most complicated ecosystem, consisted of hinterland connections provided through various transport networks like rail, roads, then the port infrastructure like cranes, berths, port authorities, and nowadays, as SEZ, we have seen Welspun has started developing the warehouse there itself. So it is also becoming the part of the port ecosystem, and all of the stakeholders in the port, those who are doing business of vessel movement, who are doing the business of cargo movement, and all the government authorities. So the basic thrust areas of the Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways is upon upgradation of the technologies and bringing innovations. So we should be in the position to provide all the required support for the private players to play their role as the fastest developing agents in India. We are enhancing the automation by reducing the time period in the end process and the operations. Ease of doing business is at the heart of the government because it will reduce the cost and the time. The business process re-engineering is happening continuously to keep all the processes in global standards. These are some indications, some statistics about the container vessel turnaround time. Previously, so many days were taken by the ships to just berth in the port and deload the goods. But nowadays, in 2023, World Bank's Logistic Performance Index report, India's container vessel turnaround time has reduced to 0.9 days. And container dwell time has reduced to less than 3 days. We are quite a bit ahead from the other developed nations like US, Germany, UAE, and South Africa also. The other transport-related aspect is the inland waterways. We are having 47,000 kilometers of waterways in the inland sector, where 22 operational waterways are there, out of 111 national waterways, which is having a total length of around 20,000 kilometers. It is very important thing that the inland waterways is supported by the cargo being generated from the basic port-led and coastal-based industry. So the warehouses and the ports are not only limited to the coastal side or you can say seaside, but they have to also move towards the river side also, where they can find the future business opportunities. The PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan is very important. Previously, all the departments, all the government ministries were doing their work independently. But PM Gati Shakti Plan brought all them together to think combinedly and to reduce the time gap by having a transformative approach for improving the logistic efficiency and reducing logistic costs. The main focus is to develop the infrastructure by different agencies and to ensure first and last mile connectivity for seamless movement of people and goods. Here, the Ministry of Shipping is also, Port Shipping and Waterways is also having the great support in the form of developing the digital platforms to bring multimodal segments, including all the infrastructure aspects, like Maritime India Vision, we have already developed for 2030, and Maritime India Amritkal Vision for 2047 has also been given to the people. And we are having a comprehensive master plan for mapping all the plan activities. Then there is a guide for creation of maritime economic zones and connectivity infrastructure. And with the leveraging technologies by use of various satellite and ISRO imagery developed, we are having all these things together placed in one platform to provide all the future aspects to all the developers. As it has been mentioned about the green initiatives, ports are also ahead for providing the green initiatives to the industry, like shore-to-ship power supply. Then there are various measures have been taken by the ports to combat the pollution. Then the renewable energy at the ports by use of solar and wind power. And I can say that the warehouses can become also a great station or areas for generating the solar power stations also. So this is what I was mentioning about the India Amritkal Vision 2047. So now things are very clear to all of us that where we want to see ourselves by 2047 in various aspects like major ports with LNG bunkering facilities. We want to create 8 facilities by 2047. Then India's rank for passenger movement in terms of volume in Asia Pacific, we want to become first from the 4th position now. Then the global rank in ship recycling, I have mentioned that we wanted to become first from the 3rd position now. And the ports with just in arrival time, we are wanted to give them 100% just in arrival time for the ports. So this is one of the initiatives that has been taken by the government, like development of the PCS, that is Port Community System, which includes the cargo operators, vessel operators, regulatory bodies, and others, to provide them one single platform to interact for their business activities and needs. Other issue is about the ULIP, that is Unified Logistic Interface Platform. Recently, it has crossed 100 crores API transactions. And this is a great thing for all of us, because this ULIP has been designed for enhancing the efficiency and reducing the cost of logistics in India. The ULIP consists of all government agencies which are related to the transport and logistic industry, and all the users on one side interacting with the government agencies by having the request and resource mechanism. These are some of the key initiatives that we have taken. We have started the smart communication system to optimize marine operations. We have started e-governance solution projects to reducing the time gap and removing the papers from the office. We have started sensor-based marine device implementation to monitor the efficiency of dredgers and other vital equipments, which will support to the movement of the cargo. Then the mast vessel design. We are also hoping to have MAS, that is Maritime Autonomous Surface Ships operation. So we are making our ports ready for such type of ships. Then the maintenance operations at the port, applications, then the troubleshooting issues are also being taken care. We are trying to develop a command control center where from the single point we can help or we can monitor all the movements. As mentioned by Sri Ranjan Sharmaji, when we are moving fast, there is a requirement of security, both cyber security, internal security, port security, navigational and operational safety, marine system and equipment related safety. We are also trying our level best to develop all these security related aspects. Then the other aspect about the robotic process automations, drone-based surveillance and blockchain technology are also commonly being used in the government initiatives. Dear friends, there is a Sagar Manthan portal available in the ministry where all the stakeholder related issues are taken care by having the capex, financial parameters, key performance indicators, traffic movement, then Sagar GAN like Wikipedia, wiki issues, HR issues, project. All these issues are being monitored centrally, which will provide help to the stakeholders so that they can move their business very fast. Then the Sagar Setu, that is National Logistic Portal, that is marine for port operating system. It is also being developed, already been developed with the mobile app and web portal, where cargo service platform, like cargo goods related services and operations performed at warehouses are also being figured in. Then the carrier service platform like vessels or other transport related issues. Then the regulated bodies, government and other issues will also be taken care. And the finance aspect is also intermingled with all the stages of development here. One other aspect, that maritime single window. Previously, any visiting ship is required to submit their details to different agencies separately. It was consuming a lot of time. But from January 2024, we have started maritime single window system in India, which is a requirement of IMO, that is International Maritime Organization. Here also, we are having public stakeholders and the private stakeholders interacting on the same platform. I should not say benefit about a bonded warehouse because you people are knowing all these details. The bonded warehouse, as I have been given the topic, ma'am has told me to speak something on the bonded warehouse. So, bonded warehouse are very essential for this development because they are going to provide the deferred duty payment. Mr. Anshulji has mentioned that now the SEZ is providing them the time period to pay the duty as when they move their goods out of the warehouses. Then the secured storage and enhanced security is also being provided there. The inventory management is very flexible and the logistic can be streamlined. The value-added services are there, available there for the use of the stakeholders. They are very efficient for compliance regulation because most of the time due to some compliance non-regulation people are coming into the problem. But the bonded warehouse being the common facility there, they are having the compliance regulations available with them. The cost efficiency is also one of the important factor because providing the scale of operations and the all facilities being provided together at the same platform, they will lead to the cost efficiency. Strategic market entry, as and when market is requiring the things, then you can move the goods from the warehouses. Then the reduced lead time and the cost. So all these are the benefits of the bonded warehouses, and there are some initiatives which have been taken by the customs. Basically, for the movement of the goods very fast from the ports to the warehouses, or you can say to the hinterland. These are like Drushti, that is digital receipt and invoice tracking initiative. Previously, people or the CHA are supposed to take the volume of document along with them and approach the officers or approach the trade to clear their goods. But due to this facility, there is no need for miscarrying all those invoices. And it has also led to the reduction in the errors and discrepancies also. Recently, we have started Ekal Anubandh. Previously, the bond and bank guarantee are supposed to be taken constantly, means their stakeholders are requiring to keep a separate department to interact with the banks and the government agencies for these particular issues. But nowadays, Ekal Anubandh has been provided, which will help to replace the multiple manual bonds and bank guarantees with a single streamlined digital bond, simplifying the processes, and it will also reduce the taxpayers' paperwork. Recently, during the celebration of Customs Day, our Honorable Finance Minister has launched the VEGA, that is Vision for Expeditious Good Release on Arrival. So it was launched to promote the swift movement of the goods for the basically AEO, that is Authorized Economic Operators. For them, they can just take the good from the port, and the inspection and other things will be done at their premises. The online custom refund facilities has also been started to provide the refund directly to the bank account and avoiding the unnecessary hurdles to the stakeholders. The XMAS facility, that is examination and e-manifest automation system, has been provided for the officers also. By utilizing that facility, they will reduce the need of physical examination and they will increase the clearance processes. The electronic bank realization certificate. Previously, the BRC, that is bank realization certificate, was supposed to be carried to the offices and get it validated from the custom authorities. But this facility has been provided now electronically. So, dear friends, recently in 2024, the Directorate General of Systems has issued one circular, which is giving the comprehensive user, along with the comprehensive user manual for both the trade members and departmental officers. This is particularly aimed at warehousing and simplifying custom procedures, where the online filing of applications for obtaining a warehouse license has been provided, online submission and processing of requests to transfer warehouse goods to another person or warehouse, and uploading the monthly return for custom bonded warehouses have also been provided. So, these all facilities will help for the further development of the bonded warehouses and the stakeholders also. Recently, the Ministry of Commerce and Industry have started one project with the help of the Asian Development Bank. This is like strengthening multimodal and integrated logistic ecosystem program. The objective of this project is to improve India's logistic infrastructure by reducing the logistic cost and increasing efficiency. It will also aim to support the implementation of National Logistic Policy, PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan, by strengthening multimodal logistics and standardizing warehousing and promoting the digitalization. As you have mentioned about the center point for the this all logistic business will be having a gender neutrality or gender protection. So in this policy, they are covering that issue also. Then the Atmanirbhar Bharat also issue will be covered, and the development of the warehouses at all district places will also be considered as a part of this particular policy. So we are aligning with you, with your imagination and with your speed also. Thank you. Then the Sagarmala program of the Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways. One of the major pillar for the Sagarmala is coastal community development. So for this particular pillar, we are having some studies which have been already undertaken in 21 coastal districts and 9 states and 3 union territories. Because through this process we are providing support to the coastal communities by increasing their skills and making them enable to join this developmental journey. So this is the last slide where I can say how you fastly move the circle will increase the pace of the progress. Because the layout has also undergone change. And as much as possible, you can optimize your layout. Then the technologies, as much as possible, you can invest in the technologies. Then the investing in specialized warehouse equipment, because robotics, then the various belts required for the warehouse management are reducing the speed of delivery of the goods to the customer. Then implementing lean practices will also reduce the unnecessary wastages in the particular movement of the goods from the warehouse to the customer. And constant requirement of training, as mentioned by Mr. Ranjan, is the core for all these activities to keep the pace with the development. So dear friends, I should say thank you for making me a part of this particular journey. And as we are, like means government is accompanying you, providing you all the policy support, whenever you feel that there is requirement of any further support from government side by making changes in the policy, bringing new innovation, we are ready to accept those things. We will examine those changes, requests, and try to bring those changes in our system. So thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Rawat. Actually, it was awesome in terms of getting to know the overall developments, the overall infrastructure, and the strategic aspirations of India towards the warehousing sector is fabulous. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. We come to the end of the inaugural session. Thank you so much for each and every one of you, and wishing all the very best for the next 3 sessions coming along. I probably take 30 seconds to kind of thank all the sponsors of this event. Wellspend One, TVS Supply Chain Solutions, Biomer Group, System Logistics, Horizon Industrial Park, DP World, TCA Supply Chain Solutions, V-Logis, Total Group. Thanks the sponsors for sponsoring this event. Let's actually come back for the session 1 by 11:50. We have 15 minutes for the break. The session 1 is on building smart spaces for intelligent operations. We'll have 4 panel experts to discuss how we can do the affordable automation, how do you do inventory, labor and space constraints in the warehouses. Looking forward for the session 1. Thank you. Back by 11:50. Thank you.